All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm sure you guys have gotten your maybe coffee. We did talk about too much coffee, so maybe some water, right? Maybe a quick snack because you're enjoying this amazing, enriching learning environment, sharing knowledge and information. We've had a lot of stuff come at us that the whole world hasn't seen, and you're here on cutting edge with us today. So I'd love to welcome our next speaker. This is a fine human being named Dale, and he is coming in from his agency. He is the co-founder of Overlap, which is a full service marketing agency out of Arizona, Phoenix, which is a lovely place, quite warm at this time of year, but a lovely place to live. And Dale, there he is. He's going to be with us for about 45 minutes and he's going to give us an amazing talk, you guys. And then we know Dale a little bit. He's going to be asking you to type some stuff up. So get ready, get your fingers all ready. He's going to be asking some questions. But here's the deal. Dale, you ready for this? There's the title. You guys see this? So right now, if you just had a little sinking feeling in your stomach, you're in the right place. Because as Dale is pointing out here, AI is this mirror, and most agencies don't like what they see. So get yourself ready to be maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but this is the good work, right? Dale Castro, so happy that you are here with us today. Thank you for being here, and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Happy to be here. Just want to kind of get a sense of the room here. If in the chat, can you let me know where where are you joining from today? I want to see kind of like where we are. Where are you from? Type inside here. Let me know. Okay, Pakistan is in the house. Arizona. Okay, AZ is in the house. I'm in the Phoenix area as well too. Tennessee, Kansas City. Oh, I feel like some barbecue. I want some barbecue. Egypt, okay. Colorado, this is awesome. India representing, okay. Miami, I need to get out there. I need to get out there for sure. Germany, okay. All right, Germany. All right, that's awesome. Okay, I'm very curious as to how many agency owners that we have, or solopreneurs, or in-house. Puerto Rico, okay. Great to see you. Let me know if you're an agency owner, okay, okay, in-house, or if you're running an agency. All right, Florida. Okay, a lot of solopreneurs inside here. Agency owner. Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah. Cyprus. Nice to see you. Freelancer. Okay, this is great. Great. I think that what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be very relevant to whether you're a solopreneur or running an agency. And one last question, I am interested, if you are a agency, how big is your team? Just put a number inside there or a range inside there. Let me know how big your team. Okay, three. Okay. All right, Jared, I see it, five. Solopreneur, 3 to 6, nine. Fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely. So I already know that you guys are seeing AI and leveraging it, and it's been wonderful and horrible at the same time. And we'll get into that. 20 people. Okay. All right, Cynthia. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for so much. I have a grasp of the room and the temperature here, and I'm very excited to be talking to you guys about this. And I just want to open and be honest. Really, a lot of the things I'm talking about here is just things that I've learned over the last 30 years. And so, a quick overview of myself is that I've been in the game for 30 years. I've really been in the intersection of creative and technology for a long time. I've been blessed to be able to work with companies like Nike, Microsoft, and Boeing, just to name a few. And it's really awesome because being able to start my career in the creative field with graphic design and digital design, I was also working closely with the technology team as well too, with devs. And so it's been wonderful to be able to be in the middle of that. And that's really, as the co-founder of Overlap, that's really where we sit, no pun intended, but in the intersection of creative and technology. And what's been awesome about AI is that it doesn't seem like or feel like the same type of wave that we've seen in the past. I've been in this game for a while. So some of you guys have probably, I don't know if there's any old heads out here, but I've seen Flash, mobile, Web 2.0, social, all of that. And, this one feels a little bit different. And to be quite honest with you, it's been exciting for me because being in the middle of creative and technology, AI is really kind of eliminating the friction and the layers between that, as you know. Yeah, action script. Okay. I got some Flash people out there. And so it's it's one of those things that I didn't want to miss. And I think as a solopreneur, and I started as a solopreneur, and I've been in large agencies, and Overlap um, is a tight knit group, and we really focus on strategy, creative, and technology. We have one team, so that is important because whether you're a solopreneur or an agency owner, it's important for you to understand how to leverage AI. And I hope to open those things as we discuss today. The magic is, as you guys know, is not in the tool. It's really understanding the genius that you have and learning how to put that in front of AI. Because AI really reflects who you are and what you do. And that's really what this session is about. So you're not behind. I've talked with many, many agency owners, new ones, old ones, people that are looking to get out of the agency life, and people that are just starting and excited about it. But the output that you're seeing, if you're not feeling strong about it, that's actually a good thing. That actually means that you know what you're doing and you know what's good. And so fundamentally, it's important for you to understand how do you leverage the AI tool, right? So everybody's heard that saying, art garbage in, garbage out. We all know about that. But the interesting thing is that AI just it doesn't just repeat it, it scales it, you know? And so more garbage faster. If you let that sit in and really understand what that means, I think that's a powerful thing and not a negative thing. Because if you're a solopreneur, you're trying to do everything yourself. And AI allows you to do great things, but you're always trying to separate yourself from the competitors. But you have to understand that you may need to learn new skills, or really just understand that just because AI allows you to scale faster and give you more ideas, that might not be what you need to do. And if you're an agency owner as well too, and you're looking to expand or grow, we have to understand and look inwards and understand what are the type of things that we're lacking. And maybe we need to hire more specialists that have more knowledge base inside there. Because it's pretty scary, and I've seen this where agencies are or solopreneurs are creating all these great things and they're feeling like, oh, I'm able to at scale and faster and iterate, but it really doesn't matter if at the core of it you're just producing more garbage and faster. So when you're using AI, it's showing you something. And the good agencies and the great agencies will look into it. It's a great thing. It's a great thing to be able to identify that because a lot of the tools are the same. For example, and no dig on anybody that use something like Claude Design to make their presentation, but I've used it a couple of times and it's very clear that there's a default type setting to it. And so you have to understand that if your input is not strong, and then also the output that the tool is using from a default point of view, you are doing more of the same. And so you're not standing out from the crowd. So it's sort of a double negative there if that whatever you're producing is not strong and what it is the output of that tool is really in this default mode, then that allows us to really look back and saying, okay, how do I push this forward? Where can I really show my genius? And I think that's important as you're moving forward and creating things because it makes everything else that you're trying to do stand out more. So there's five things that we've learned at Overlap and myself that, I feel like the industry has kind of got it right. And so I'll go through it. But the core thing is that just because you feel like you're in the right direction or the right direction, wrong road still gets you lost. So the question is, the belief is that you need a better stack. And we know that that's not true. What you really need is fewer handoffs. Whether it is handing off to yourself if you're a solopreneur between Tuesday and Friday, or a team of 8 handing off between departments, the gap where context gets lost is still the same gap. So the agencies are struggling most are not under-equipped, they're just under-structured. So you're going to see this theme. This is something that internally at Overlap that we really had to uh, look ourselves in the mirror and be truthful and honest with ourselves. What are we actually structuring our briefs, our strategy, and making sure that we eliminate and use and leverage AI to minimize those handoffs. The next one is move fast and adopt early. Speed, get it out, iteration, iteration, iteration. We hear that all the time. But speed without structure creates faster mistakes. That's the honest truth. So, being early to a broken process is not the advantage. Again, this is self reflection. This is looking in the mirror and understanding that, yes, AI is great because it actually shows you where your gaps are. But let's not get into the whole hype of just do it just to do it because anybody can just do it right now. My mom and dad can go to ChatGPT and do something. But that doesn't mean that's what the focus and the strategy should be. There's this thought of that AI will place agency roles. AI exposes which roles were never clearly defined to begin with. This was a hard one to really swallow. It's uncomfortable, but it's so useful because whether it's yourself or you have a team, it's important for you to really understand like where are my gaps? Just because we thought that we were doing good, what is AI really showing us? And I think it's important for us to take that to consideration as we move forward. You know, we ask ourselves the same questions at Overlap all the time, and this is evolving. And so, as again, I said, everybody is trying to figure this out. Nobody has it all figured out. It's just important for you to figure out not how to use a certain tool the best. It's really important for you to understand what is our genius, what makes us different, what makes us great, and how are these tools going to help us show that to the world. Prompt engineering is a new skill. A better prompt does not fix a broken brief. Now, a brief doesn't always mean a whole creative brief. Really, it's just about asking the important questions. Who is this for? What do they need to feel? And what does good look like? That last one is, I found that to be the most important question is what does good look like? Not just to the client, but also we have to understand how is the world trying to search for us? How is the world trying to look for our services or product? So what does good look like from all those different input stacks? AI saves time. AI did not create inefficiencies, it just made it visible fast enough that you could not ignore it anymore. AI reveals where your time was being wasted on the wrong things. This was a wake-up call for us as well too. As we were using the AI tools, it was very evident of where our gaps were. And to be quite honest, as a business owner, that was really exciting because you are always trying to get better and you're always trying to improve in your processes. And now we have a tool that is able to show us in real time, and then we can challenge that. And I advise you guys, and I challenge you guys to do that all the time. Check yourself when you're using the tools. Devil's advocate all the time. Question yourself. Give me a reason why this is not the right direction, right? And so we have an incredible tool, be able to leverage that. So the thing that nobody wants to say out loud, and I'm not calling out anybody. This is a self-reflection and just sharing with you guys as well too. Is there's a reality that there are different types of input personnel, and you'll probably see yourself in here. But this is how it's broken down from my experience. There are three types of people and their inputs. And we have no low knowledge, low context. It's vague, it's generic, it sounds complete and confident, cannot cross-check and does not know what's missing. That's a dangerous spot to be in. And there's high knowledge, but poor input. So you have people that are really smart and know what they're doing, smart thinking, but poorly structured, inconsistent and frustrating. What comes out, and the reality is blames the tool when the problem is the foundation. The last one is high knowledge, clean input. And this takes work and this takes really internal reflection with yourself and the team to understand how do you structure that input? How do you have it so that it's clear, focused, and targeted, elevated? And then what comes out is elevated output that you can push farther. That's where we want to be. We want to be at a place where we're working just as hard and then we ramp up it exponentially. We're able to, off the shoulders of our clean input, even take things further. I can argue that we're at this point, we're giving our clients more value than they're paying for. We're not working any slower. And oh, and this is where the real leverage lives. Not calling on anybody out as as in the chat. So AI does not make you better at what you do not know, but it makes you more confident about it. And so this is something that I think is important because of the fact that AI makes you feel confident that it's outputting things and it's outputting strategy. But we have to make sure that we are conscious about what we're putting in. And so that's the whole mirror effect that we're talking about. But the important thing is that you at least know that you're struggling. And that is good because either way, you are looking for help. You're looking and searching and researching and increasing the knowledge on that part. And that's what every smart business person does. We iterate and we learn, and then we start all over and we continue our path of trying to get better every day. So you cannot fake the funk. You can generate fast, we can ship fast, you can create a lot of volume, but the goal is to move the needle. And at the end of the day, and I've seen this ourselves as well too, that the work that was put into that strategy always shows. And so as agencies continue to use AI for their strategy, we have to understand that we don't want to be more of the same and in the noise. You are a genius at what you do. You have products and services. And so just finding those ways to be able to stand out. And I believe that's where AI could be leveraged and do some incredible things. So just wanted to the end of my presentation, but I just wanted to thank everybody, and I wanted to make sure that I had some time to take some questions. And thank you so much.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I definitely felt that are we being called out, and I think that that's the what we were kind of talking about before this. Like you were going to ask some tough questions, and you're going to point some stuff out. So, I love this. Let's talk. We've got some questions running through the Q&A. So, let's see. What is the oh, it moves so fast. You guys ask so many questions so quickly. I love it. Resilience mirror and why is it so essential? So resilience.
Resilience mirror.
Yeah.
So, I think the way I take that question is that we're so inundated watching social media and YouTube, and we're just always feeling like we're behind. And I think the resilience is just maybe taking a step back and just understanding that it's just a tool. AI is just a tool. You still have to understand the things that you're good at or what you're trying to say. And I think the resilience is just understanding that you have a tool that not only will allow you to get greater output, I should say, but you can actually learn from it at the same time. So if you feel like you have something that is just not resonating or something that you don't feel confident in, you can actually use the same tool to educate you and teach you. So the resiliency is just it's just repetition, I would say.
Yeah, and on that, there was some questions around, like, having the courage to actually look in this mirror. So would
Yes.
love to hear a little bit on that.
Yeah, I would say that um, personally at Overlap, we knew that this wave was coming. And, I've been part of I'm not going to call anybody out, but I've been at agencies in my career. And a lot of times you're comfortable doing what you're doing because it's you got forecasts, you got revenue, you've got clients, legacy clients, and it's really hard for you to justify um, that there are some things that need to be fixed.
Mm,
And I, I feel like that was a big question for us because as soon as you look in the mirror, and this is, I guess, like in life, and I'm, I'm old enough to be able to uh, really speak on this because many times in my life I've looked in the mirror myself, and you ask yourself, what are we doing? You're constantly asking, why is this not the way it is? And when you look in the mirror, the answers are always simple, right? And they're right there in front of you. So I think it is important for all of us. And I think that's a great word is courage.
yeah.
That's really what this is about. If you get through all the noise and you look at AI, now we're getting past the buzz phase and all the headlines and the hype. Really at the end of the day, it's a tool and we need to understand what do we need to fix internally? And that's part of the slides that I had is even like in the briefs. We've been doing this for a long time. And we feel that we knew what we were doing. And so when we looked really deep into what we were doing in our processes and our strategy, we noticed that there were some gaps. And so it allowed us to dig deeper inside that. So the courage is that watch what you ask for. It's easier to ignore it. But obviously, if you have some gaps, you're going to have to identify how does that affect your company, right? And for agency owners, that's looking at their hiring process and who they're hiring and what is expected of those people when they're being hired. And now that the lines are getting blurred, how does that fit into the organization? If you're a solopreneur, it's really understanding and staying focused. And sometimes less is more.
Yeah. What are you seeing, Dale? Like, what are you seeing with agencies when it comes to how they're prioritizing being on top of AI? Like, is this something where you would potentially recommend somebody, block it off on their calendar and spend an hour, 2 hours a day? Like, how does someone start? How do we counteract the overwhelming overwhelm?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I struggled with that early on when we started a few years ago, kind of leveraging and integrating AI. What I've found for me personally that works is I'm always trying to use it, whatever tool it is.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find a way to elevate the core things that we're working on. So what I mean is a lot of times I would get lost in the sauce per se. I would go
Okay.
inside there, oh, you can generate this image and it makes videos and you can get lost in that. But I think the important thing is understanding the capabilities of the tool, the AI tool, and then making a list of the things, the core things that you're trying to elevate. And then I would connect those times, the designated time for me, it's mostly early in the morning
Okay.
where I'm trying to get through my list and saying, and constantly pressure testing those things. How do I elevate? Here's where we are, here's where we were, and I need you to dig a little deeper and just show me and I need and question me on where we're going with this.
So it's really kind of integrating it as a step of like you have a thought, right?
Yeah.
And then you have some sort of process, whether it's documented or not, and adding in this middle piece of like before, after the thought, which oftentimes we don't, the thought is in control. Thought comes like, oh, I need to do this, right? And then there's the doing. There's a middle stage there of like let's engage AI to
Yes.
get a different view on this, a different way of thinking about it. I love that you're asking it to ask you questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And constantly and just understanding that we're as much as that we're learning, the next agency is learning as well too. So that it's it's important for us to understand that just give ourselves a little bit of grace as well too. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Courage and grace is probably the two things I would say, um, because if you're good, it would always shine through.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I'm getting a lot of questions also on team. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on team. A lot of us we run so fast, and it's a part of our great gift, right? That we lack not new thoughts, right? So how do we positively, without exasperation, engage our team in kind of this exploration and implementation of AI?
Yeah, for us, we've done cases where at the end of the week, well, we just want people to share like how are you using it? As silly
Mm,
as it may seem silly, but it doesn't always have to be groundbreaking products or prototypes. Sometimes it's as easy as, hey, I started using it for my workouts, you know, and well, let's dig a little deeper into that. Well, actually, I was asking for workouts, but now that it has a lot more context of what I'm doing, I'm actually inputting the things, and I'm asking it to give me notes about how to maximize this workout, right? Meaning, don't slow reps or trying to understand the more details of that workout. And so I think those is important because as soon as you make it more about work or this or prototyping, there's a lot of pressure there.
I see.
I think there's a lot to learn in just everyday use, because I could take that logic that I just talked about with the workout and apply it to it. And I think that naturally the discussion is like, hey, that's interesting because the thing that we were talking about could use that context. So I think we need to start humanizing, get the human side of AI as well too. And that's something at Overlap we've always tried to do. It's the culture of the people and humans. So at the end of the day, there's always going to need human intervention in anything that's going with AI. So don't try to let AI be AI. Let you be human,
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. And let's take the stress out of trying to perfect what it is. And I think that we can learn a lot about AI and how we can use it just by talking with the team of like everyday use. How are you using? How is it impacting your lives? Because I think that's how it resonates with the team as well too. It's if they have a personal impact of how they're using AI, it's a little bit stronger and easier to connect with.
I love that, Dale. So this idea of not of basically the broad concept of AI, not just AI for your team as regarding their work, but asking them like, how is this affecting your life? What are you doing? And then having that environment of sharing.
Yes.
Okay. On that note, we had a couple questions around, the AI failing and what is
Mm,
this like investment ratio of like what can we expect when we work with our team or ourselves, and when it's like you have 5 initiatives running, what is that success rate that you're seeing and what is the failure rate? So, and the concept here is like what should we all feel good about? Like if half of our AI initiatives like crash and burn, like, is that a good rate? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I don't have a stat or
Okay.
metrics, but I would say that success, in my experience, is if you fail forward
Hmm.
and how do I say this? Does it if you're failing forward, does it really matter if if you fail 10 times in a row? I guess is my question. Is understanding the learning in that. Sometimes the failure is the output. We're too focused on the output. What are we learning on the input? That's the mirror part. Like, what are we learning within it? Why did it fail? Is the biggest question. So, if you look at their failures, how do we work as a team in saying, why did it fail? It didn't fail because there wasn't no clarity on this. It failed because we didn't actually know, like I mentioned in my presentation, what is good. So again, I think that there's no ratio on that, and I think that we need to kind of again grace, right, and understanding that output, everything that we're doing, the output is faster now. So more garbage faster, and that's not. I'm not trying to diss everyone. I'm just saying that's what it is. So what do we do as good business owners or agency owners or solopreneurs? We look at why the output was there. So I don't look at anything as a failure per se. I say that if you're not, the failure really is if you're not looking at the why.
I see. That was powerful. I don't know, you guys tune back in. Let's see. So this notion here of like there's no real failure, unless the failure would be if you're not looking at why, what happened, what can we learn, what did we learn, how do we move forward, what's the next step?
Correct.
Yeah. Seems to me like AI is definitely this continual journey, right?
Yeah,
And you might branch off here and it might be a dead end, but then you come back on to the journey, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. I would love for you if you could, having given this wonderful talk, helping us to see this notion, putting us in that uncomfortable position of looking in the mirror and seeing where our faults are, so that we can improve them and having this great tool. How would you sum up your main message?
Summarize my main message is I would say that I'm going to give some thought to that because I really want to. I
Please.
have a lot of thoughts on that, but I think to simplify it, I just want everybody to understand that don't get caught up in the hype. It's very easy to get caught up in the hype. And I think because I've been in this industry for a long time, I've seen a lot of hype waves. And yes, they were big. This one is different.
Mm,
So this is not like Bitcoin or something. Like this is something that like is integrated into the fabric of what we're doing. It is changing everything, but it's not a thing to conquer. It's something that you have to find how do you integrate it into what you're doing? That's really the key part because even those agencies that are focusing on trying to be the best at this tool or get this faster, it doesn't really matter because if you strip all of that away, just imagine if AI just disappeared tomorrow. You would still have to have
Mhm.
the input. You would still have to have the why and the strategy that is solid and would allow what you're doing for the client to move the needle, right? And so I think separating those two things is very important. And I know that it's a little bit, you know, foo-foo, but I really believe because we've went through it, the stress factor of we're always wanting to be better than we were. But what AI has taught us is really taking the time to understand who we are, what we do. And it's a great, actually, you should be excited as a business owner. Honestly, we were excited. We thought who we were was a certain thing. And to be quite honest, with the tools, we've really been able to extract that thing and take
Mm.
those things and take it to the next level. And I think that that is something also in my presentation. I hope that people take away as well too is that there's a certain amount of excitement and growth, and and we have something that's going to be here and stay.
Fantastic. Oh, Dale, this is so positive and so exciting. I love your outlook. Thank you for coming and sharing it with this amazing audience, these amazing humans. We really appreciate you. We appreciate everybody who's here live.
Yes,
And we
thank
are
you,
going to be
everybody.
taking a short break. Thank you, Dale. We're going to take a short break and we're going to come back with a phenomenal panel. You all get ready and get excited. We've got some heavy hitters coming in to talk about what Cloudways is building for agencies right now. So, sit tight, grab that other cup of coffee or, whatever it is you're drinking, some water, and we'll be back in just about 1 minute. Thanks all.